Hey everybody, welcome to Hank's Corner and to the Chillin' Chat. Today we have a guest panelist, Theresa Richard. Let me welcome everybody who's come up. This is an open chat, open panel, so link is pinned at the top. If you want to join in, feel free. Theresa, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, well, my name's Theresa Richard, and I don't know, I make videos, funny videos on YouTube. I don't know what else I can say about myself other than that. I used to do auditing. I used to actually be an auditor, and now, I make videos kind of commemorating the arrests and kind of silly things that they do.
Mhm. And how long ago were you an auditor?
I really probably haven't been in auditing or anything for the last 3 years or so. Not that I've been involved in government accountability for about 20 years, but I haven't done, any auditing. And I don't know that I call myself an auditor or that I kind of fell into that category. I've always been kind of a government accountability activist, but I kind of got involved in video activism, I guess, after I lost my daughter and my granddaughter in a house fire, and I had some issues with the police and whatnot. So that kind of led me into that, and then after um, being involved in it for a little while, of the video activism part, this auditing thing kind of came around, and then it sort of got inundated with scammers and whatnot. So I guess I kind of backed away from that, and now I make these funny videos. Anyway, that's my history.
Yeah. Well, I like to make a distinction between frauditors and auditors, but I have not seen any of your auditing work, but I don't see you falling in the frauditor category.
It wasn't really, my mission has always been to sort of teach people how to advocate for themselves. And my forte really is public records, which is, why I am involved. I guess that's one of the things that I push for is, for people to advocate for themselves through the use of public records and how they can get those public records, etc. So, and then I guess there are a lot of auditors or what have you that sort of needed those types of services, or what have you. And with sort of how I got involved is, in helping people gather records and things like that.
Yeah, that's the auditing category to me, not the frauding. The the frauditors I like to point and laugh at are the ones that are out there. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They think they do a lot of the times, but they're just parroting out what they've heard on other YouTube auditors.
Whenever this sort of, because I've kind of followed this genre for the last, I guess, 9 years or so. And,
Mm-hmm.
in initially it was the people that were involved in video activism were usually pretty, I don't know, pretty strong activists that were doing activism and other things using these video cameras to sort of document what they were doing. And then that sort of led into this whole First Amendment stuff. But then, then there was this inundation of people who were trying to make money off of YouTube videos and whatnot, and off of donations that they would get from people and things like that. So, and I guess that to me, sort of, if I saw it happening. I don't know. I guess probably about 4 years or so ago, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I,
more.
I mean,
Maybe more.
you start throwing money into the mix, and things will start rolling, going downhill in a heartbeat. Because people see an easy way to
Yeah.
get money, and especially when it corrupted down to like I can really get behind actual cop watching, but cop watching to me is not going out and trying to be a part of what's going on a stop. Um, if you stand a reasonable distance away and actually film the police and their duties, I have no problem with that. And you can catch some bad cops doing some bad things, which we need to know about. But when you just come up on them, antagonizing them, trying to be a part of the scene, you're not doing anything but aggravating
Well,
folks and putting people in
and that's,
jeopardy.
yeah, that's sort of what it's become is, people inserting themselves into situations that, gets the more clicks and views, I guess. And that's not what it was really, it wasn't why I got involved in it, for sure. Making money off of it was never what was important to me. And I don't begrudge people that actually earn a living doing activism work, but I think it's a real slippery slope, particularly whenever you can't be transparent about it and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would begrudge anyone trying to earn a living, but I do, not appreciate people inserting themselves in for clicks and views, or, presenting false information about what, your rights actually entail or what you can actually get away with, etc. So that's the kind of stuff that really bothers me.
And pretty much
All right.
therein lies the difference between auditing and not.
Yeah.
Correct. But there's a lot of people that watch videos that are maybe not super well educated on their rights or what have you. Maybe they didn't pay attention a lot in high school, and they just buy into a lot of what these people say. And what bothers me is that they will go out thinking that they can do some of the things these people get away with doing. And
Mm-hmm.
in some of these videos, they will get away with doing some things that most people wouldn't get away with doing. And then these people try to go out and do the same thing, and they end up, hemmed up in a mighty way, and they have jobs and whatever you to protect, and now they're in a really sticky situation because they listen to these idiots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can
It's
understand how people would fall into the follow them because they got away with something and I can as well. But it's when they sort of go up to police, for example, and a traffic stop, and the police say, "Look, stop! You're interrupting. You're harassing us," and they say, "No, we're not. We're only looking." Surely to God, somebody observing this can't help but think the policeman's had to turn his attention away. Of course, you're interrupting and disturbing this. How can you not be? So that's one of the things that really grates with me, why people don't actually see that.
In the early days of cop watching, cop watchers would just stand there and police would just come over for no reason. And those cop watchers learned to say all of the things that the cop watchers that insert themselves say today. I, I'm just standing here or whatever. So the police officer has to stop what he's doing. You haven't done anything, and walk over to you and say, move back or whatever. There's really no reason for that. But when you are, literally, if these people get 5 feet away from these situations where they can get hurt or what have you, or get in the way or trample on evidence, or, there are reasons, whether they like it or not, for them to have to back up. They're using the same excuses. Well, I'm not interfering. I didn't even talk to you. I didn't, et cetera, et cetera. So, and that's, I guess, what kind of bothers me about how these the click and view pullers have come into a situation or come into this advocacy sort of work where people do have rights to be able to stand and video record, but they don't have a right to insert themselves or to get too close or, to trample on evidence or to question, the police for, some of their decisions. I don't know.
yeah.
Again, that's you're sort of reinforcing my ideas of this sort of stuff because, as you say, they walk into these things and they've got no idea, mainly or whatsoever, what the situation is. They've got no idea what they could be walking over, evidence-wise, how wide the crime scene is, if it is a crime scene, what evidence may need to be looked for. They're oblivious. So why do it? That's
Yeah, and people make assumptions on the traffic stops, but the frauders or the frauditing cop watchers will make assumptions and just come up and insert themselves. Oh, you just pull this guy over because he's a black man. Well, he might be a black man being pulled over, but you have no idea why he was pulled over.
yeah.
Right, and then that that in turn is them sort of inserting themselves into something that they're not involved in. They don't know what's going on, and they're just kind of inserting their opinions in. And it's great, you can have an opinion, but to just suggest that you're getting pulled over for whatever you think, and you don't have any way of knowing that, is kind of silly.
Yeah. Somebody else coming on up. Hey, Freeman, how you doing today?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, enjoying this beautiful weather at my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good weather here too.
Just listening to the conversation you guys got going, if somebody wants to go record a traffic stop uh, in the name of activism or transparency, I don't have any problem with that. But the moment you insert yourself in that situation, you just lost everything that you're going for. The only thing you're doing is going out there trying to make a video to get clicks, to incite your supporters to send you money, and lawsuit incoming. I heard Hank make mention a while ago about a traffic stop, and they'll say it's a traffic stop with a black man. Have you ever seen anybody walk up to a traffic stop and say it's a traffic stop with a white man? They do that for a particular reason.
Yep. They want to incite people and make inferences without knowing what the hell's going on.
I made a comment a while ago in the chat. I had an idiot last night try to tell me that these frauditors that are out there today, they compared them to Rosa Parks. I said, you've lost your mind.
Yeah.
You have lost your ever-loving mind.
Well, real activists go out with a plan. They don't just go out there with a camera and start poking at police officers or walk into the library and start poking at the librarian. They have an actual plan. And Rosa Parks, a group of people that she worked with as an activist, which she was an activist, they had a plan. They didn't just, she didn't just sit there one day. They had a plan, whether people want to hear that or not. They actually did have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, anybody of that day, of that era, the only thing they were seeking was justice and equal treatment for everybody. They didn't seek fame and fortune. They didn't seek PayPal accounts and GoFundMe accounts, and that ain't what it was about, and that should not be what it's about today. It's not what it's about today. If you want to call yourself a true activist and hide behind the First Amendment, then you need to do the right thing. I don't have a problem with anybody making money on YouTube at all. But to sit there and do the things you do, and I've asked this before, I'm going to ask it again. If there was no money to be made on YouTube, no money to be made on PayPal, no money to be made on GoFundMe, no advertising dollars from YouTube, how many of these fraudsters would be out there in those streets today?
Well,
None.
they might still be out in the streets, but doing different things, standing under lampposts.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Right. And
Brian.
if they wanna be fake and do fake things just for clicks and views, then they need to be honest about that and not, make people think that they can get away with doing the same thing, that they have a right to go into a library and record all they want, or the post office or whatever. They need to be honest about what the laws actually are with regards to that. I don't begrudge anybody making money. I don't begrudge anyone entertaining people, but to go into the post office and be an asshole and say that's for activism, that's silly. So call it what it is. You just went in there, be an asshole so that you can make a video. It doesn't have anything to do with your rights. You don't have a right to do that.
Yeah, and Binary's comment I can agree with wholeheartedly. By inserting themselves or putting lives in danger, including their own. You get distract the police officer from somebody who they pulled over that got issues beyond what anybody can tell at the time. Decides, okay, it's time to go ahead and run, or pull a weapon, or do something else stupid, and then innocent people are in jeopardy.
Yes, I'm quite amazed that more people haven't actually been tased or whatever by mistake for just walking up behind a police officer whose attention is mainly focused on somebody in a car, and then suddenly looming up behind them, holding something out in front of them.
And then you have the ones that are actually trying to provoke the officers with furtive movements and
Yes.
uh, like Omaha Cop Watch. I'm amazed that he hasn't gotten.
Is that the guy called Floyd,
Yes.
who seems to have a constantly itchy lower back, but he's got to
Yeah.
reach around behind himself and look like he's pulling up? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How he's still walking, so, well, says a lot about the patience and calm demeanor of a lot of police.
Yeah, I really think a lot of what he does shows how well officers are trained in a lot of the cases.
Yeah, without a doubt that he's come across a lot of patient police officers. That's for sure.
Yeah. The worst I've
Actually,
seen
having been a,
happen. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I say, actually, having been a civil servant, it might well be down to just pure, plain and simple. Oh my God! If we shoot him, there's so much bloody paperwork I've got to fill out.
Yeah. But I'm amazed. The worst I've seen happen to him is his famous push, which I still think he
Yeah,
bloody flopped that one.
Oh
the
God,
push
yes.
where he rolled over backwards.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
I
I'm
did a
sure there
video
were
with that one.
I'm sure there were Olympic judges holding up signs saying 5.9 on that one.
I may have made a meme that said that.
Yeah. It's, I've seen I've seen a meme where they had on the bottom you had scoring judges with their scorecards up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was yours, Teresa, or somebody
No,
else's,
that
but it.
that one wasn't mine, but I've seen it. They are funny.
Sure, you guys and gals are familiar with Justin Puyol.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I used to
You
have
know,
a little bit of respect for him. In my opinion, he was probably the closest to being a true activist of anybody on YouTube in that auditor community. And he
I'm not
made,
sure
I
what.
think it's been just a little bit ago, he made a post about, because he had a falling out with PayPal and Sheep Sphincter and John Gray and all that kind of stuff, which that's a whole nother ball of wax. But I guess he decided to go at it on his own, and then he come up and made a post about he looked like he was gonna have to quit because he didn't make the $800 and something off of two channels in 1 month, and he couldn't get no support. And that told me right there. That told me this is what you're in it for, Justin. You're in it for the money. You're not in it to be a true activist. And he made a post maybe 2 days ago, and somewhere in Texas, the police pulled a HIPAA page down, something about HIPAA, because and they clearly stated it for a possible violation of HIPAA laws. Well, Justin just made the post, and this is a lie. His supporters eat that up. They're nothing but a bunch of tyrants. They're doing this. And I got on there and I told him, I said, Justin, if it's a lie, where's the proof of this being a lie? Where's the truth at? Show the truth. Don't get on here and accuse somebody of lying if you can't prove that they're telling a lie. Well, what reason was it? I said, you tell me. You're the one that made the accusation.
You know, Justin Pulliam was voted the most dangerous man on campus when he was in college at Texas A&M. I think he was a member of the Young Republicans, something like that.
It blows my mind when they get on there and they'll make a statement like that, or they'll make a video and title the video, I was arrested for recording in public, when in truth you were arrested for disturbing the peace or trespassing. But they put it on there, and when it's put on there, it's word of God. It's written in stone. Justin said it. It's got to be true. And even his supporters attacked me, and I told them, I said, you can attack me all day. You show me the proof that it's a lie, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, you go back. You go back like 5 years or so. There's some of the auditors or the cop watchers that were actually getting detained because they were filming, but I haven't seen that in years. Now it's not the act of filming that's getting them into trouble. It's the other acts they're doing while filming. The camera is not a get out of a free pass for any action you want to take while filming. Just like any of your other amendment rights, your Second Amendment doesn't let you uh, be a complete shitbag while while possessing a firearm, but and
I
you
live in our everybody and brother town I am, except where you're not allowed to. Courthouses, post office, but everybody open carry. It's not
yeah.
a big deal.
Hmm.
Nobody, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. Yeah, we don't get up in nobody's face with a camera. Look, I'm open carrying. This is my right. It's not like that. We don't, you know. And the police around here, the county sheriffs, the deputies, they don't bother anybody. The people are just going about their normal, everyday business, living their lives.
Yeah, and what gets me is some of these Second Amendment activists that I'm air quoting there. Um, they'll go. Not only are they going out openly carrying, but they're going out. They're throwing a bulletproof vest on. They're carrying an AR with a vest full of loaded magazines. That's not normal. Um, that is suspicious activity that warrants the cops to be called and for them to make inquiries. They're not infringing upon your right by, yeah, they're not infringing upon your right by finding out what the hell you're doing.
I mean, that's what they want. Why are you coming up here bothering me when I'm just practicing a constitution protected activity? It is their job to investigate anything that's out of the ordinary. And if somebody calls, they going to come investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you detaining me? You have RAS up. They don't have to have RAS of a crime. I'm detaining you for investigative purposes.
Yeah. And they said, filming can't be suspicious. And they give they give court um, case law in it. Well, if you look into that case law, it's not saying that while you're filming at all is not suspicious. It's just the the simple act of filming is not suspicious, but the officers can still take in all the circumstances that you're filming at odd hours at places that you shouldn't. That's not normal to
That you're
film.
pointing your camera directly at the guard shack, that you're pointing your camera directly at people's license plates, things that freak people out. Yes.
Yeah. So that
they can
when you
use all
take
those things.
all those things to put together is um or can
Yeah, a
be
lot of people say,
articulate suspicion.
oh, well, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, they can't. But that's not true. All of the things compiled together can, because what is it? Terry v. Ohio, as I've heard often explained, the guy in Terry v. Ohio wasn't doing anything illegal. He was walking around with a bulge in his jacket, I think he was casing a building. So he wasn't doing anything illegal, and he was stopped and he was patted down, and they found the gun subsequently. And there you have Terry v. Ohio. So a lot of people say, oh, they can't pat you down, or they can't, you can't be under suspicion unless you've committed a crime, about to commit a crime, blah, blah, blah. That's not true.
Actually, something that you, Freeman, and Hank said a bit earlier. Being English, I'm not wholly up on US history stroke law, but one of the things that auditors or frauditors often say, it's my First Amendment right to do this. Nothing that you say, policy, etc., trumps my constitutional rights. However, there's also the Second Amendment, which I understand is the right to bear arms. Is that actually legal in every single state in the US to carry weapons?
No.
Because if not, yes, things can trump the Constitution.
Yes. And your ability to possess a firearm is regulated by states, some a hell of a lot more than others.
I am assuming that's the 10th Amendment that allows the state to do that. But
one of the things that the auditors forget, oh gosh, what was I going to say? That the First Amendment has time, place, and manner restrictions. And a lot of times auditors, will forget that part of that, well, it's my First Amendment right, but your First Amendment right is, subject to time, place, and manner restrictions.
Yeah. And I wish they could get the concept between a traditional and a non-traditional public forum down.
Right, that's a big misunderstanding as well. Traditional and non-traditional public forums, and where you have, the most rights to your First Amendment, where where they can't ask you to leave, where they can't tell you to put your sign away or put your phone away. That's not inside of a building or on private property. It's on the sidewalk, parks, public squares.
Okay, you got me in that one as well. Traditional and non-traditional public forum? Sorry?
Well, a traditional public forum being like the public sidewalks, the parks, that's traditional public forums.
Town square.
Yeah. But city hall, a library, a jail, a police station,
Okay.
those are non-traditional public forums. They're publicly funded buildings, and with publicly funded activities going on inside, but
right. So the difference between
there's you're
public
only
and publicly accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So I wasn't just quite sure on the terminology between traditional and non-traditional.
Yeah, well, the frauditors can't seem to grasp the idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about whenever you are on private property, specifically interior sidewalks or inside of a building, that you're subject to, the discretion of the person that is in control of the building. So you can be asked to leave, what have you, and you have to leave. You don't have to commit a crime for them to ask you to leave. That people will say that. Well, you can't ask me to leave unless I commit a crime, but that's not true.
I was about to say, surely
that's another misconception. You can't trespass my public property unless you commit a crime. Yet you don't know what you're talking about. You can be trespassed from anywhere. Public property, private property, it doesn't have to be posted. It doesn't have to have signs up. I do not have to have
breaking up a lot.
Freeman, yeah, you're roboting quite a bit.
But he's right. When you're on their property, inside the interior sidewalks or inside of the building, and someone else has control over it, whether it is the mayor or the police chief or whoever, it's not you. As a taxpayer, you don't have control over it, so you don't get to say who comes and goes, but they do. And if they trespass you and it's a violation of your rights, well, you can go back and sue them because they violated your rights. But you're not going to avoid getting arrested for trespassing or being guilty of trespassing. You know what I'm saying? Because they asked you to leave, and they have a right to ask you to leave.
Yeah. And the signage issue, the people going back into the gated areas of a post office. Well, the signs don't clearly state that unauthorized personnel are not allowed, so that means I'm allowed. Well, okay, if you can't, to me, the signage is fairly clear that it's restricted access. Maybe it's not in the verbiage they prefer, but
that's just willful stupidity.
The law doesn't just say you have to have signs up there. You can be told by somebody from the property that you're in a restricted area, and that carries the same weight as a sign.
Yeah.
You're not going to get arrested for trespassing just because you're back there and they just told you. But if they tell you and you stay, then you're trespassing.
The strange thing is,
that's what they say. You can't. There's no signage here. It doesn't matter. Once that officer verbally communicates that to you, you need to be moving on.
That's right. The only thing signage does is get you arrested first without them having to tell you. It's just your notice. Trespass involves a notice of your trespass. And so if there's a sign that notifies you, then the property owner doesn't have to come out to notify you before the police can arrest you. They can arrest you after, you've crossed the sign.
And it doesn't have to be the property owner. It's just a representative of the authorized representative. Like, it doesn't have to be the owner of Burger King to tell you you're trespassed from Burger King. It can be the manager.
And I live in I suppose you'd call it an apartment block.
Well, Hank.
Block flats in the UK. And
Hi,
my
Glenn.
lease specifically says I have the right to travel
Yeah, most
along the
most
communal ways to get to my flat. There's nothing that says that other people don't have access. There's a common right of access for people like postmen and anybody like that. But in theory, anybody who's not a resident in the common walkways, I can say, sorry, leave. You're not allowed to be here. I'm telling you that you're not allowed to be here. And they have to leave.
Yeah.
And I assume it's pretty much the same thing in places like the post office or something like that. And if you're told to leave, you need to.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is like that. That's how it is. That, actually, it's the person who has the most control over the property. So it could be the cashier at the time. She might be the one has to ask you to leave, or maybe the supervisor came out and asked you to leave. But any one of those has more control over the property than the auditor. So time to go. And if you don't like it, then you can sue them later. But you can't just stay there. That's trespassing.
Yeah.
most of the businesses here where I live, the police or deputies, whatever it is, city or county, um, they are the authorized representatives. In other words, if they pull up in a business at night, if somebody's sitting in a car or somebody's walking around out there, they're gonna pull up and stop. They're gonna tell you this business is closed. You're not allowed to. Well, there's no sign. There's no. I'm not gonna tell you again. They don't play around here. They don't. You don't see auditors around my parts of the woods. They're not gonna beg you. They're not gonna try to explain to you. And they're not gonna pander to you. And they're not gonna cater to you. They're gonna carry you to jail. If you're walking around with an AR-15 and a 9mm or something on your side and 9 cameras, when they pull up on you, they pull it up about 5 deep, and your butt is going to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to the ground at gunpoint. You will get on that ground, and they're going to disarm you, find out what you're doing. Because you're
Yeah.
not just open carrying. You're drawing attention to yourself for some reason.
Yeah.
Well,
And
typically, yeah, they have something that's drawing attention to them, and I see Brian King in the because I guess Brian King's going to be a little bit on the auditor side, but there is, and I don't know if he's going to agree with this. That's why I bring him up, but there's always something that they do to bring attention to themselves. Like for instance, Furry Potato is wearing a flag and a black suit and a helmet. And other auditors they might be sex offenders wearing a gun on their hip, or there's always something that they are doing to bring attention to themselves, that they are giving up a reasonable amount of suspicion.
mm-hmm.
So, and that's so that they get the interaction.
Yeah. And Kaylee brings up a great point. They're grandstanding, talking over anybody who tries to explain to them why they can't be doing what they're doing. Big example that I've been watching a lot of lately is Long Island audits. Uh, he he won't let the person of authority, whether it be an employee or a police officer, explain what why they're telling them they can't do something before he's talking over them and um, diverting to different. It's just a guerrilla tactic.
How
Hey,
much
can I
time
make
do you
a comment?
Yes,
Sorry,
you
go on,
can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I talked, you while back, I had talked to, my local, authority here where I'm at, about that and see what I can do, where I can have where I can, have, a gun on my head, for open carry. And, from what they told me, long I obey the law and don't do nothing real stupid, I can do that. But have a concealed, I gotta have a permit, carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah, and some states that you don't need a permit to carry. Like Texas just changed to where I've got my carry permit, but I don't need it inside the state of Texas anymore. But it's still I'm going to maintain it. I'll renew it when it comes time to renew it because there's reciprocity in other states. Like if I go to Louisiana, I can carry my concealed weapon with my Texas permit.
yeah,
Just got to
I
follow
agree
their
with
rules.
yeah, and I agree with you there. No, that's something. No, even no, that's why no, like here in Louisiana, like if you got a carry permit, and if you like, let's say I got one and I want to go to Texas, long as I got a company, cop stop me, like cop stop me in Texas, I am liable to tell them I got a carry permit and I got a gun, as long as they can see it. And
Well, hey,
mm,
Glenn, one thing I'll add, one thing, let me add this to what you're saying. Not all states have reciprocity. And what I'm trying to say is some states don't recognize the gun laws in other states. A lot of them do, but some of them don't. Always
Yeah,
listen. If you're going to cross the line, to check make sure that you're going to be legal. If you're concealed
yep,
carry, if you have a concealed state you want to go to another, that mean that other state's going to honor that.
yeah.
yeah,
And they might honor the concealed carry, but you still have to follow that state's rules of concealed carry.
yeah.
Right,
Um,
right. A lot
See,
of people, a
hey, Kick.
lot of people don't understand that though. And I got one in, Alabama, I go to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma may be a reciprocity state. I don't know. I know Florida is. I'm not sure.
Nice shirt, Hank.
See, Florida can't open carry anyway. With permit.
yeah. See, I got a plan, to put the course and pass it. And one, I found and this something I found out through my friend. He told me the question that they had on the test, and one of the questions,
I
like here
saw
in
that deal,
Louisiana,
Hank.
What's that?
what now?
I've, you and Freeman were both talking at the same time. I missed both.
No,
Both of.
I just took myself up. I said, I saw your beard.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
That is one damn impressive beard.
At the risk of
Well, Jeremiah Payne
appearing
wants
rude,
everybody's picture, so there he just had a picture.
yeah, at the risk of appearing rude, I prefer the leopard.
But one
Is that
thing like
anything?
I say, around my parts of the woods here, they don't put up with nothing. We got everybody where I live. We don't have. We hadn't had a murder here in probably 6 years, and the sheriff. Once you get elected sheriff here, you're gonna either die in office or retire in office.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a 98.5% conviction rate, 99%, something like that. And, the sheriff is the highest law enforcement officer in the county, except for the DA, because they're elected.
Yeah, except there's jurisdictional, like when that sheriff goes into a city, his authority is cut way back from right outside the city limits.
And Hank, thank you, let me up, and I got to jump down.
All right, Glenn. Thanks for coming.
See you, Glenn.
Y'all be
Yes,
careful.
Ben.
But I'm for everybody exercising their rights. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to be
Responsibly.
sensible about what. You have to be sensible about what you're doing. No amendment is absolute. None.
Mhm. And no one's right trumps other people's rights either. Like
Brian
Well,
it,
what
Brian King
it
Brian King makes a good point.
my deal is, and what I try, and
An inside joke.
I ask them all the time, what rights of mine are you quote unquote fighting for?
yeah. Um,
Well, your rights to
well,
do this. I said, I'm over 60 years old. I am retired. I enjoy my rights every day. I have enjoyed them my whole life. You're not fighting for anything for me. I know I can take my camera and go record. I don't have any interest in doing that. I have better things to do. I don't make money off YouTube. I get 3 checks a month till the day I pass.
yeah, and um, if anything, they're restricting the rights to record, not making it. It's not making it easier on anyone to record. I One of my hobbies. I like to go and take pictures and video of historical architecture. And around where I live, one of uh, the best architecture that you have public access to is courthouses. But now if I want to go and film in that courthouse, I've got to make arrangements before I get there, and then wait for the representative to come and brief me and sign a statement that I'm going to be complying with the rules. Didn't have to do that before.
Sadly, yes, that's what they are slowly driving your system towards. People
Hmm.
sort of backing up from the supposed sort of rights you have and getting them to be more legislated and regimented and controlled, which, as far as I understand it, is almost the exact inverse of what the Constitution is trying to achieve.
Yeah, and
I like it when they say, we're here today and we're going to find out if they honor and respect my right to do this or do that. And I go back to the open carry. People here do it. People here honor and respect each other all day. The law respects us. We respect the law. But the minute you take a camera and shove it up in somebody's face, you're going to lose that respect.
hmm
Yeah, and
And you
it's
should have enough common sense to know and they do, but that's what they're wanting. They're wanting that
yeah.
confrontation, sensationalized. Sensationalism sells. The truth don't sell.
I mean, I've got no objection to Second Amendment orders, mainly because I'm 4,000 miles away across a bloody ocean. But even allowing for that, I've got no objection to people who like firearms, open or concealed carrying weapons around. It's your constitutional right, fine, no problem. Where my mind gets bent a little bit is where you see somebody walking around a city with an assault rifle.
yeah,
And I get a bit twitchy seeing them when they're out in a forest. But at least in a forest, you can say, oh, yeah, I'm actually going to use it to shoot at something like a deer. Although, why the hell you need an assault rifle for a deer, I don't know. But in a city, what is the practical use for an assault rifle in a city? Why have you got it there? Apart from, oh, I'm upholding my rights.
hmm
Well, I think, with the mass shootings that have happened, people just, I mean, we had a sort of a mass shooting in Baton Rouge with police officers, just some random dude walking around in black carrying assault rifles. So I think there's a reason that, people get pulled over or stopped or questioned behind that. And I think, whenever I don't really get those Second Amendment audits when they're carrying that kind of firearm protection, But I guess the point, I don't know what the point should be. I think maybe the point should be, that they get questioned and left to go on their way without being made to lay on the ground, etc. Maybe. And then I don't even know if that's, because these mass shootings and stuff, just like that guy in Baton Rouge, you just never know what's going on with
Yeah.
people walking around with semi-automatic, so-called
yeah.
assault styled rifles.
There's much better ways to educate the public on it than going out and scaring the shit out of people. And carrying an assault rifle through town, whether it's legal or not, you're gonna scare the shit out of people.
Yeah. And just as a side thought, I mean, if you're walking through an urban area, on average, how far from a school are you going to be?
Hey, Hank, I'm gonna
Yeah.
drop out of here. Maybe somebody else might want to get on here and speak their 2 bits. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yep, appreciate you coming up.
Nice talking
You're always
to you.
welcome.
Thanks everybody on panel. I'll be in the chat.
All right. Hey, Kick.
Good
Hi,
morning,
Kick.
afternoon, something.
Evening.
Yeah, all of them. Good everything. I was hearing y'all talk about the so-called assault-style rifles, and one of the things that I struggle the most with those Second Amendment audits is it's not about the type of item, but they are taking certain things that look like long guns.
Yes.
So the first thing is that I think that the assault style weapons moniker that's being used by the news is incorrect, because one of the defining factors of an assault weapon is a fully automatic capacity. Not necessarily round capacity, but the capacity of the weapon to be placed into a fully automatic state. And there are severely limited licenses to have those type of weapons in the hands of civilians. So I prefer to use the term long gun because it's a little more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that there's one that's been floating around to a supposed audit. Some fool walks around in a park full of children, and what he has is not an AR-15 or an AK-47, but
It's that pistol that's been modified.
it is a modified pistol into a carbine.
Which
and
looks more like a rifle than
It's
the police officer's
News
rifle.
Now OKC.
Yeah.
News Now OKC. I
Yep.
forget his name. Tim something.
Yep. And what he's doing is he's taking what they just changed the law to accept for the conversion of his pistol into a rifle, and he's flaunting it. That's what it is. And he says, oh, well, I'm testing the police's knowledge of this change in law. Well, they just changed it like 24 hours ago. It's highly unlikely that they're just going to know all laws off the top of their heads. And what you're doing is you're creating a panic, because a majority of the civilians are not going to be paying attention to any of that unless it's something that directly affects them. So in a sense, it's to create panic under the guise of I am expressing my Second Amendment rights.
As I recall, Tim Harper is the guy's name, did that little Second Amendment thing. And then another guy copied that and went into a park and did the same thing with one of those 9mm that are converted into what looks like a long gun, but it's just a 9mm handgun. So this other guy goes and does that, and he gets arrested, and he gets in all kinds of trouble. And I believe the only reason that maybe he didn't get prosecuted was because it ended up the property was on an Indian reservation, and maybe they had some sort of different type of law, but they weren't supposed to be doing that. So Tim Harper went there, and he just didn't get caught doing it. I guess they just didn't know about the law at the time. Whatever. This other guy goes, and something happens, and he gets charged. So it cost him a lot of money to get out of that.
Yeah.
But the guy Tim Harper that actually did that, he went on to carry that gun into like a restaurant with a bar in it, and they charged him for that, and he ended up with like a $500,000 bond that he sat in jail for about a week or so, couldn't get out, until they raised the money, and I think they finally ended up dropping all the charges, but not before he was out with the ankle bracelet for maybe almost 2 years, sorting it out, and the amount of money they paid for the attorney, etc. All of that, doing one of these Second Amendment audit type things.
And none of their actions is doing anything to promote and help the Second Amendment rights. It's having the opposite effect.
Where I live, it's 100% legal to open carry a rifle. But you don't see anybody do it because, we're in the suburbs, for God's sake. So what's the point, right? With all of the things that are happening in suburbs and in the cities, nobody wants to be associated to any of the stuff that the news is playing up, especially about mass shootings. And so why carry your rifle in those areas? I can see the necessity if you're a hunter, you're going, you're in a small town, you don't want your vehicle broken into and your rifle stolen, that type of thing. It makes sense. If you're bringing your rifle in to get it cleaned or to get it serviced at the local shop, it makes sense. But just to wander around with it, you're painting a target on yourself.
As a matter of interest, Kit, if you were to take your rifle in to be serviced, cleaned, or what have you, would you put it in its carrying case?
Generally, I would.
Or because
Absolutely.
you generally strike me as being a sensible person.
Yeah.
You wouldn't carry the damn thing out in the open through the city.
Most of the gun shops require you to put it in a case before you bring it in.
Yep.
Because they don't want to allow people to just come in with their rifles and somebody end up trying to rob them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or just do something stupid. I've ran a gun store for about 6 years, and yeah, there's people out there that you don't want them to touch it while you're around.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're morons.
I was going to say, even back in the Wild West days, typically in the city limits, you weren't allowed to carry a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a very naive thing because, as I'm English, I know rock all about firearms, particular. But if you're carrying a weapon, and generally speaking, you've got a magazine loaded, I don't know whether you have one in the chamber or not. I suppose it depends on your attitude. But if you're take it in and you sort of slam it down on the counter, shoot, clean that for us, will you? What are the chances of an accidental discharge?
Well, it depends on the gun itself. Accidental discharges, they do occur, and a majority of them happen when somebody drops their weapon and attempts to grab it before it hits the ground. The safer thing is to just let it fall, because there are protections in place with different models. Now, certain ones have been known to discharge just based off of a light tap. I know that Taurus ran into that issue with some of their pistols for a while.
Yeah, the Sten gun used to have a bad reputation of firing if you looked at it hard.
Yeah, my Glock 19 has a thin piece of metal that goes in between the round and the firing pin. When the trigger is non-engaged. So if it was to be dropped and any sort of force is exerted on it, it would hit that piece of metal instead of the round. So I know that it would be a lot safer. Not to mention that there's, some other trigger safety information about those. You have to have a much higher trigger pull than other rounds. You have to engage a small lever on the trigger itself.
Yeah.
So
And if you're carrying it responsibly, you got it in a holster that is going to be covering the trigger, so you're not going to just catch it on something.
Yes, absolutely. Proper holster selection is very, very,
Mhm.
very important.
absolutely.
Just stuffing a gun in your waistband is a very stupid thing to do.
Anything relatively modern, anything made in the last 50, 60 years, is really, unless the trigger's pulled, it's not going to go off unless there's something wrong, unless it's broken.
Yeah, but when you just stuff a weapon in your waistband,
But if you pull the trigger, it's going to go off.
yeah. And if it's in your waistband, there's some important bits in that area that you don't want to be shooting.
Absolutely.
So, anywho,
Yeah, we
That's all.
started talking about gun stuff, so naturally I showed up. So
all good, man. I just wanted to pop in for that one spot. I have this, I don't want to call it a hate, but an intense dislike for the way that the media calls certain long guns assault style
Assault
rifles.
style. Yes,
Yes.
assault
The
style.
government
don't
has
get me started. Yeah.
the government has absolutely no concept, and everything they do is knee-jerk reaction. So I don't
I
care
did
for that
qualify
term.
it when I said it. I did qualify it when I said
did?
it. The
Yeah,
so-called.
Yeah, totally
I know.
understand.
I
Totally
get it. I know
understand.
it's
Well,
a
assault rifle does have a
polarizing
very
word.
specific definition. And as a bit of a weapons historian, yeah, I'm with Kick on this one. That always bothers me. It's not an assault rifle. And they're also, I mean, they're, other than being scary looking, they're not really any more intrinsically dangerous than most other firearms that we have had available for 100 years now. They just look scary.
Strangely enough, Kick, when I first said assault rifle, I don't know if anybody knows, there was a slight pause when I was thinking about, do I say long rifle or long gun instead?
Oh,
And I thought, no, that, because I don't know much about guns, that might make me sound a bit posy, so I went for the assault rifles.
no, it's
So sorry on that.
no, it's quite all right. I'm not taking any offense. It's more. It's not against anybody else. It's more against the way that the media has infected
Yeah.
our language with terminology that's not properly defined.
Yes, here in this sort of casual gathering, inaccurate language like that, I think is okay. But as you say, in the press, for God's sake, please get things right. Use the right words.
Yep.
Well, they don't do any better with any other facet that they talk about either. They use incorrect language and verbiage all the time. It's not just guns.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was about to segue. Is
Yeah.
we look at the hashtag movements, especially with the auditors, just looking at what they call themselves. They're not auditors. Let's be real about this. There is nothing that they're truly auditing, because there's no straightforward answer on what audits really are. There's no defined set of concepts that they're looking for. There's no standard operating procedure. There's no code of ethics. There's no internal investigations to make sure that how they're doing their audits are all in line with each other. And so the concept is really lost and muddied by the fact that one of them will probably just use a crayon checklist. Are there tyrants? Yes or no? And they failed.
Yeah.
Where is the substance? Because there is none.
It's not an audit, it's an informal, inaccurate test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would think if there was some sort of codified, measure for auditing something, the first rule of auditing anything would be that you would not want to affect the results.
Well,
Like if I'm
um,
auditing someone's doing a forensic compliance audit on somebody's firearms collection, I wouldn't start sneaking guns out before I did my audit, or sneaking guns in. I mean, if you're going to audit something, if you're affecting the results, you're not really auditing it.
Right.
Yeah, you're
Well-
auditing it and you, not it.
Yeah.
yeah. That's one of the primary, and also to be an auditor, you've got to be a subject matter expert on what you're trying to audit.
That would be, yes.
Um,
I wouldn't know how they're supposed to do at the post office. I wouldn't know where to begin to audit a post office.
Yeah. I've worked for corporations that had to hire with government contracts. You have to hire audits to come in and check over your operation, and they use the um, um, they use people who know the job that we're contracted to perform inside and out. And they're coming back in with a neutral position and seeing how we operate to see if we stay up to the standards that we're contracted to uphold.
Well, yes, you've got to have that, haven't you? Because if they don't know the subject matter, they can have the wool pulled over their eyes by anybody, and the entire idea of the audit is invalidated.
Well, and that's the point I'm trying to make, is that auditing is not a job. I know that. The so-called auditors know that. It's the fact that they call it something that makes it sound like a legitimate job. Yeah. It's the terminology. It's the misnomer. It's how every cop is a tyrant, right? It's the misuse of language to push an agenda, to make them sound like they're legitimate. And auditing is not legitimate. Plain and simple.
And
the way they define it.
Well, the auditors on YouTube are not professional auditors. There is professional auditors out there.
There are, and they all have jobs, and they get paid to do it by corporations because they're subject matter experts, and because they went to college to do it.
Even a secret shopper has a little list of things to go on, give you a score, etc. That's the same each time.
So I'm still, I still take, offense to the fact that they've boiled down what they're doing to what's supposed to be considered a legitimate job, and they're using that term to justify what they're doing. It has no relevance because it doesn't follow the defined practices of a legitimate audit. Plain and simple.
Well, speaking of, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to get this point out. Speaking of, literally what they consider themselves, I'm being sued by Earl David Warden. I'm involved in a lawsuit. He sued me. And in his complaint, he calls himself a entertainer. He doesn't call himself an activist, nothing like that. He calls himself an entertainer. So, they don't even think of themselves as activists. They think of themselves as, showbiz.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of that is being careful as part of the legal process. Because if he actually said he was a job description, job name, job title, and it's one that's actually got codification and qualifications and professional bodies, he could be countersued by them for false representation. So for saying he's an entertainer, that's wide open. For God's sake, I'm speaking on YouTube. I'm an entertainer, for Christ's sake. God help the entertainment industry.
That's right. It removes a lot of liability from what he's doing.
An actor, I'd be lying.
It's all an attempted abuse of the system by trying to rename things, and that's That's all it is. So just like he's doing
That's
on
right.
his lawsuit stating he's an entertainer is just as much of a misnomer as calling himself an auditor. Just as much a misnomer as people that call themselves cop watchers. It's all hashtag activism. It has no substance behind it. It's just words. We're creating awareness, but what are we creating awareness of? What, misinformation?
Well,
Misrepresentation?
that's exactly what it takes the liability away from him, is the misrepresentation of any of the information that he puts out there as a so-called activist, educator, whatever his channel is listed under, whatever, sort of genre his channel is listed under. That's not what he is. He's an entertainer. So, you can take everything that he says. I mean, any one of these auditors, you can take them for everything that they say as entertainment. It's there to entertain you. It's not necessarily accurate. It just gives them a means to, sort of avoid being frauds, because, we're just here to entertain you. So not everything we say can be true, it's because we're just entertaining.
Kaylee makes a good point too. The mention of the word journalists.
Journalist, yeah.
It's a misnomer for what they're doing, because journalists have integrity. They have a code of ethics. They follow processes. If you're going to call yourself a journalist or even an independent journalist, then you have to follow the same rules that journalists do. It's plain and simple, but they think that they're even above journalists. So now, is the regular media an enemy? Are they as much tyrants as the police, as these so-called auditors want to call them? It doesn't make sense. The entire argument folds in upon itself so goddamn much. It's like a fitted sheet that somebody just decided to ball up and throw into the linen closet.
Is journalist one of those sort of open terms where anybody can claim they are? I mean, I know in this country, you've got nutritionists and dietitians, and one of them you actually need qualifications for, and the other one anybody can say they are. And a lot of people think they're the same thing. Is journalists like that in the States?
Well, so for a journalist, obviously there are degrees that you can obtain in journalism, so you can go into different fields like actual news reporting or radio. But in order to call yourself an independent journalist, no, there's no set of licensing specifically to being a journalist. Right. So you can have food bloggers and travel bloggers and things like that, and they aren't necessarily what would be considered a traditional journalist. But what you also don't see are food bloggers walking in with their cameras to provoke the restaurants that they're reviewing. They're making it about the food. So
they don't go in the kitchen and call the chef an asshole.
Right.
It's a very overbroad interpretation of what being a journalist entails and what freedom of the press means in this country. Even real journalists can still be told to pound sand. I've done it before. I've tossed a CNN camera crew off my site before. Okay, so you're a journalist. That's great. Have a nice day. Get out of here.
Yeah, it affords them no extra rights, but it gives them perhaps
they have the right to publish.
Yeah, they get a greater leeway, perhaps, if they represent themselves up front and say, "I'm a journalist. I'd like to be able to do this," and you say, "Yeah, sure. You're an accredited journalist. Come on in."
Most of that leeway is because they have an infrastructure in place, because they're legitimate journalists. They have people that have called ahead or made preparations, or they have that infrastructure in place to support them. That's why they end up having more de facto rights, because they have people that are facilitating what they do, not because they have an inherent right to do it.
Yeah, you don't see a news crew from ABC just walking into a courthouse and start filming around without made contacts beforehand and set something up.
Yes, absolutely.
And in particular, you don't see them walking into a courthouse with a bloody smartphone for their recording mechanism.
Exactly. Now, granted, a lot of news media is using their iPhones, and part of that is the promotional aspect when they're out on scene. Usually, that's for some sort of quick news thing. It's, hey, I want to be on the scene for this, but it's not something, super important. Oh, there's this local restaurant that was named #1 restaurant. So I'm here with my iPhone and, hey, everybody say hi. And they make it to be this, this super friendly situation because they realize that the big cameras generally come out for, big issues.
Yeah.
Right, see you, Karen.
The thing about the auditors is if you ask them to follow the same concepts that a news agency would, they would say that now the police are going to hide all of the nasty things. Well, that shows that A, you've gone into this without a concept of neutrality. And
Yeah.
B, you're trying to justify your guerrilla tactics and your provocation by doing it that way.
Yeah, they're not auditing; they're affecting the results.
Yep.
They're like going to the zoo and with a big long stick and poking all the animals. So, okay, I'm auditing animal behavior today, so I'm going to poke all these animals with a stick and see which ones try to kill me.
Right. On South Park, when Eric Cartman kept talking about shoving his thumb up the butt of every creature, that's literally what auditing is.
Gross.
And from a scientific standpoint, if you were a scientist and you were trying to determine the effect of some sort of medicine on people, you don't run around jabbing random people with a syringe to see how it works. It just doesn't work like that. So that's where I'm getting lost in this. I think that they're complete misnomers, and we as a people need to start changing what those terms are. Can't call them auditors, in my opinion, because they don't audit anything. I instead will call them provokers.
Absolutely. I've been pushing in every chat that I've been in is these people, they're conducting surveillance or conducting surveillance of a secure facility. So, I mean, if we're in a position where we're reporting these people, if you have to call 911, don't say, hey, there's some crazy guy walking around with cameras. Like, no, there's somebody conducting surveillance at my facility. These are what cops are trained to consider that suspicious activity.
Mm-hmm.
They're eliciting information about security practices. They're probing security. Words mean things. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
And the strange thing is, you wouldn't be lying in using those words because
No, absolutely not.
in essence, that's exactly what they are doing.
I mean, we train people to look for people like law enforcement and private security officers, or we train them to look for suspicious activity. We teach them what suspicious activity it is, and that's what they're doing. That is literally what they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of wish the post office would make an effort in educating their staff on how to communicate to when it comes time to call local law enforcement for trespassing or whatnot, how to communicate that to the police that arrive rather than letting the auditor or individual point out poster 7C. It says I can film right here. Or just out in the parking lot. Yeah, inside there's a post. It's called poster 7. Come on, let me show you.
Absolutely.
It tells, and a lot of times the cops are just, well, he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but they fail. The police fail to follow the federal laws, not post office guidelines, but federal laws. When these so-called domestic terrorists walk in there with a camera, thank you, Brian King. You're right. It is, the damage is done, and it is something that will take long to resolve. But just like a letter from the editor explaining a failure of understanding, it's going to take time as well. Corrective measures take time. We can't just force society to look at things the right way. But from Poster 7's standpoint, Jeremiah Payne walked into a post office with a gun on his hip. That's a federal crime. That's a minimum 1 year in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And the police let him go. It was catch and release. Why aren't the police doing what they can to push for the federal charges for these types of things? These people are putting others in danger with their illegitimate concepts, their unfounded and uneducated standpoints on law.
It's going to catch up with them. It always catches up with them. I mean, I've been watching, like I said, for 9 years, and over and over and over again, it eventually catches up with them.
At the expense of law-abiding citizens.
Yes, at the expense of law-abiding citizens. Yes, that's true.
And so playing devil's advocate a bit, could it because, okay, despite the fact it is a federal crime to carry a firearm into a post office facility, could it be just that they don't want to clog up the judicial system with what could be seen as I don't want to call it a petty charge, but I'm going to say petty charge.
No, you're exactly right.
And they're not going to clog up their local municipal system with that. If they arrest somebody for carrying a weapon on federal facility, they're just taking them in, and then when they get back to the police station, the holding area, whatever, they're having to contact the federal authorities to see if they're going to want to take the case. And you might not have federal officers within distance to react to, especially some of these are going to these out in the middle of nowhere post offices.
Because they know that they're not going to get extradited, they're not going to get caught by the feds or have to face a charge in that sense. So they'll face the local charges, which they can either plea out of or that they'll be ROR because these small towns don't know who these fools are. So I don't think that it's necessarily a petty charge. It's that they're abusing the system. And when I think of petty charges, I think of, arresting a teenager for a joint. But carrying a gun on federal property is one of those things that where I live, the police don't take that lightly. And they will take you in, and they will do their very best to make sure that you get justice served. But you also have your rights, which is you have the right to a speedy trial. And if they can't get the feds there to take you in, then they're not going to go through it. And then of course,
it'll end up being a catch and release, but.
And Tawny says it as well in the chat. The police are under so much scrutiny right now that anything that they do is going to be analyzed by a microscope because of a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of people have ruined it for everyone else. It's like working at a corporation with Casual Fridays. You got the one person that walks in a mini skirt and a tube top, and now everybody can't do Casual Fridays anymore.
Kick, I told you that in confidence.
I was about to say, and I promise you it wasn't me.
Yeah, Mall Cop, I just... You took Casual Friday way too far, bud.
I was casual Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Overly casual Fridays. But PayPal Payne got away with it. I think that the cops didn't want to deal with him. I think that the fact that his wife and his daughter were there, that was one of his original concepts, was if his wife and his daughter is there, the police will feel sorry for him. That's really what it is. He's using them for guilt. I don't really want to bring this guy in front of his child. And then the baby is sitting there telling the police, you can hear it in that video, saying, please don't kill my daddy. What kind of way to raise a child is that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there's all sorts of wrong
He
involved
uses
with that.
he uses that he uses that little girl for more than sympathy from just the police. So
of
Oh,
course. But I got to drop down and go handle some family stuff. But Odin pinged me and told me as soon as I woke up that maybe I should hop in and say hi to Theresa. Hello, Theresa. It's good to meet you.
hello, very nice talking to you.
Hope
I
your
hope.
pain meds are still working, Kick.
Yeah, they just kicked in. Ha 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 ha. So it's good to chat with everyone here. As per the usual, have a great day. Be well and be good to each other.
We'll see you around, Kick.
Take care of yourself.
See you, Kick. Thanks for coming up. Oh,
And speaking of Theresa, weren't we supposed to be watching some videos of hers?
I was about to say I've got some videos to be sharing. We just had good conversation going, so
Yeah, absolutely. And I've never actually seen anything that Theresa's done. Sorry, Theresa.
Oh, no problem. I make funny little videos. They're not, you know.
yeah. And this first one is, I'm kind of interested in tracking this case. A foul-mouthed veteran bullyback audits Sing the Blues. You want to say anything about it before we get it started, Teresa?
I don't know too much about these guys. I just saw that they had been arrested and I had their mugshots, so I wanted to document it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hope that
and
title is not clickbait.
Well, that's their YouTube names is foul-mouthed veteran and bullyback audits. So it's not clickbait there.
Okay.
I'm really interested in this case because of the charges they brought on these auditors, to see how well it works.
I don't
go
think
ahead.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to leave it muted because the music is copyrighted. I don't know if that's if you're
Okay.
monetized or not.
Not monetized, but sometimes the copyrighted music will get your stream shut down for a little bit. Just imagine
actually a
the
veteran?
song Jailhouse Rock playing in the background.
I always do.
So, is he actually a veteran?
Both of them are.
Oh yeah, this is the case where they made the video and put the elderly lady in the video, and they got charged with abuse of an elderly lady. Yes, I'm pretty sure those charges are still there. I don't think they're gone.
I have not haven't been able to find any more information out since the original arrest.
I'll see what I can find out for you, and I'll send you a message if I can find out any more.
I'm within driving distance of the courthouse that will go on in if it's going to be heard. And if I'm available, I'm planning on taking a trip out to watch that trial, because it's a kind of interesting charge to way to go combating what some of these auditors are doing in the name of auditing.
It is an interesting way to charge it because, and I don't know if anyone has seen the original video that they were charged for, but there is a link to it, I think, in that video right there on my channel. But they went to a post office or something, and they were, legitimately harassing some of the customers. And this lady was out there, and, of course, she's telling them not to film her or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're going back and forth with her. And they posted it on the channel, and the channel apparently is monetized. And so they charged them with abuse of elderly for maybe a profit or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was.
From when I read I was unfamiliar with it, so I read.
Exploitation.
Yeah. Yeah. When I went and read what the charges meant, it seemed it's if you're using elderly, children, or disabled individuals for profit without consent of a guardian, that's where this charge can come in.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
a
it's an
third degree
interesting
felony.
charge.
What's that?
I'm looking up this. I'm looking up the statute now. That's a felony charge in Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how many of the people that they're auditing fall in the category of elderly or disabled?
Yeah.
Well, it is going to, this case, I didn't realize it was in Texas, but this case is something worth watching, because if people can be arrested for the sort of exploitation because their channel is monetized, which is what is my understanding is why they were charged this way. That's going to open a lot of doors for a lot of other channels that are out there doing sort of the same things there in Texas that, may end up facing a charge like this.
And from reading on it, the profit made from it, you don't necessarily have to be a monetized channel if you're using it to entice donations. That's still making money off of those.
Right. I've got it right here in front of me. For monetary or personal benefit, profit or gain. So I mean, if he's just getting it to, if he
Even
increases
if it
his
boosts
subscriber,
subscribers, yes.
yeah,
His watch time, whatever, yes. If he's
illegal
benefiting in
improper
some
use.
sort of way, yeah.
I guess that's the kind of the broad part of this that is going to have to be brought up at court is what constitutes illegal or improper use of a child, elderly individual, or disabled individual. But I would certainly think that putting them on YouTube without their consent would qualify.
Yeah.
It's an interesting law.
I guess we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll have an attorney that will represent them enough that we won't see a bunch of appeals or some crazy stuff like that. But so we can kind of find out what happens. But who knows? Maybe appeals and that sort of thing will help set the precedent, so we can see just exactly how people will be, dealt with if they are making money off of these types of things, and whether or not it's legal.
Yeah.
Kaylee, yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm hoping they actually intend to take it to court rather than accepting a plea deal, because plea deals, they're going to do victory laps saying they won, and when it's not a win whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I suppose it depends on the type of attorney they end up with, and just how far they are to not take a deal. Some people go into this, they're like, I'm not taking a deal, so that could be a game changer if they don't take a deal. We'll see how it ends up for them.
That kind of bravado goes out the window a lot when it's a felony.
That's that's right. When they're offering you no jail time, a $50 fine, or you can face 20 years.
A felony is a big deal. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. What you got? What else you got picked out for us to watch, Hank?
Let's see here. Got skunk water.
Oh yeah, the skunk water. the skunk water one. I forgot about that. I was just watching another skunk water video from Unclean Hand.
Skunk water?
Do you have you? She's from North Carolina.
These names.
She's a hillbilly. She's a straight up
Yes,
hillbilly.
my
No, I'm
my
sorry. This is skunk water. I'm sorry, I got the other girl mixed up. This is another skunk person.
he covered Swamp Fox,
That's right. I'm sorry. I get them mixed up. I
and
got those two mixed up,
yeah,
and not because they look alike or act.
they just have the same type of silly ass names.
Yeah, she's a hoot. This girl is a hoot. She doesn't really do a lot of cop watching. She's actually sort of a spinoff from, if you follow Mouse, Beware Mouse, or if you follow any of his craziness. He's a sex offender that does, I don't know, some cop watching and stuff. He's sort of an OG, older, sort of an auditor-ish sort of person. But this is his friend, and she's always got problems, poor thing. And apparently she had a warrant, and so did her boyfriend, who she was fixing, I guess, to go get married to, apparently, allegedly. That's what her excuse was in this video. So, but she went to
Yeah,
jail, and I think she's out because I saw her in a chat last night.
yeah, yeah. Before we get into this video, that video that Unclean showed of Swamp Fox reminded me of my favorite video of hers, where she calls the FBI trying to get them to intervene in Blind Justice's.
Yes, that is one of my favorites of hers, too. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but here's this one.
They gave him a court date for the 19th. Hey, Your Honor. Your Honor. They gave him a court date for the 19th.
You come out with me. You got a warrant too.
I got a warrant too, and they already freaking Dad.
Come out with me for a sec, please. Okay.
They're doing it. This is
Let go.
wrong.
Let go.
This is- Yeah, we already got court dates. He told me to come back here. Okay. Where's my baby at? All right. Well, you know, them counties don't know how to freaking squash their damn warrants after they do this shit.
We just gotta make sure everything's all right first.
Everything's fine. Trying to go see my brother and get married. I got the paperwork for I just got out.
That kind of sounded like she's going to go marry
I
her
don't.
brother.
I don't think she's going to marry her brother, but I think she's going to see her brother and get married wherever he lives to this man that she's currently with here getting a.
That was certainly a sentence that could have been better phrased.
She's not the best at phrasing her words. She's not good with words.
Wordy bits.
She runs a bait and tackle shack. It's mobile bait and tackle shack. So give her.
Okay. Hey, let's continue.
Of jail, and all my warrants all my shit got put together.
We'll give it back to you.
Dad, please follow us.
Would you
Dad!
like us to give that to your father?
No, because I need a way to get in contact with him.
Okay. All right.
Dad, follow us.
Her name is Holly, other than Skunk Water, but yeah, she's lost some weight since the last time I saw her. She's trimmed down in the face a little bit. She gets in some trouble for things. I don't know what this warrant is about, but she's got some meth charges and some things like that on her record. So maybe she's answering to some of that. Not sure. That might be also why she's getting thinner.
Yeah, that does have that habit.
The meth and jail diet will take the pounds right off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think she's out, and because I saw her in a chat last night, so maybe she'll be able to get married soon. Not sure. She seems like she's had a few hubbies. I don't know if she's divorced, but that's her. She's a hoot.
I like
I have a video.
unclean
I have
hands.
the Lion from the Wizard of Oz. have an old video of her. I used to doing a strip tease in her house. I'm not. I think she was doing it for clicks and views and a PayPal, maybe also Cash App. But I had to take it down because YouTube got really funny with their algorithms and nakedness and stuff. So I was afraid I'd get a strike. But yeah, she has done some strip teases online before, and one time she ate a pizza that someone donated to her online, which was particularly funny. So I've been following her for a couple years now.
Yeah, I don't think I need to see her naked.
Yeah, she was. That's like I said, she's lost weight since then. So, and I did notice it right away because I have seen her without very much clothing on.
Oh, thank you for that mental image.
I don't even want to think about her eating a pizza.
Yeah, the video was called "Caution: This Cannot Be Unseen." That was the name of the video.
You nailed it.
Oh, Brian, that's what we call a room temperature IQ.
Yes, it was a donated pizza. That she came around after, and I don't know if you know who Beware Mouse is, but he runs this fake radio station for the last 6 years or so, and he had this woman that kind of came around, and so she started asking for money too, because that's what Beware Mouse does. He just begs for money.
Well,
And she came around and she started begging for money for her husband, her previous husband, I guess, to get back and forth to work and have lunch and stuff, money for a pizza, things like that. And then she would film, she would video what she got. And one time I saw her, when she got her stimulus, she bought a corn snake that she subsequently killed. But other than that, she did the striptease and then this arrest right here. So that's really all I know about her.
yeah. Still trying to shake the mental image that doing naked
I am
stuff
without
on.
speech.
Yeah. Alrighty.
I'll be putting an order in for some brain bleach. Anybody want some?
Some eye bleach, definitely would have needed it.
We have made so much work in undoing some of these Southern stereotypes. I just really don't appreciate things like that.
I really don't have a problem with big people. I'm not a small person myself, but
she's from Illinois, though. She's from up north.
I thought it said North Carolina.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's Swamp Fox, the other girl.
Fair enough. Girl.
Yeah, Swamp Fox is North Carolina, and if you want to see Swamp Fox, go to Unclean Hands. He just released one today. That was not the best video of her, but it's a good one. If you find her calling the FBI, that is the best Swamp Fox I've seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she still has it on her channel. So, what is her channel name? Swamp Fox with a number or something? It seems like.
I think if you just type in Swamp Fox into the search box on YouTube, it'll bring her up. Yeah, and the other chick is called Skunk Water Bait and Tackle. That's the name of her channel. Skunk Water Bait and Tackle. Now, I'm afraid the striptease was removed for terms of service violations for her. And I don't know that there's a copy of it if that's what you're looking for. So, no, thank you.
Don't go there looking for it. Yes.
Didn't even cross my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Crimes against humanity.
I'm sure.
Out of interest, is Swamp Water actually a place? So is it a bait and tackle shop in Swamp Water?
Well, her name is Skunk Water. Bait and Tackle, and yeah, that is the name of her bait and tackle, mobile bait and tackle shop. Skunk Water.
Is there actually a place called Skunk Water?
Well, it was a truck. I don't know that she still has the truck, but she did it out of a truck, and I believe that was what was painted on the side of it. It said Skunk Water Bait and Tackle.
So it's a worm van. She drives a worm van.
Yes, a worm van. It's a portable bait and tackle business.
Well,
all right.
That's better than the Roach Mobile I saw on a video recently. Somebody was videoing this person's vehicle out in like a Walmart parking lot that was just infested with cockroaches.
Oh yeah, that's lovely. I've seen. Yeah. Yeah, I did a year and a half in pest control, and yeah, ooh, those are stories that nobody wants to hear.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Uh,
shudder.
Yeah, my brother has an
um,
impound yard, and all of my children, when they turned old enough to drive, he gave them each a car out of the impound yard. And one of the cars that we got was a Dodge Spirit, and it was for my daughter. And, as we were driving it out of there, all these roaches were coming out of the vents and all this other stuff, because they'd been sitting for a couple years or something like that. So we had to take it down to the Walmart, buy a bunch of roach bombs, and then we, you know, put the roach bombs in there at Walmart and let all the roaches run out while we were shopping. And then we came back out and rolled the windows down and rode it home. We never saw another roach in it again. Put like, I don't know, as many bombs as we could fit in there. One in the trunk, one in the back seat, one in the front seat, one under the hood. Just bombed it. Roaches were running everywhere.
So now
my
everybody else that was parked in the Walmart parking lot that day has cars full of roaches. Like, where the hell all these roaches come from?
Well, certainly they're going to die, right? Certainly, but they ran out of there pretty fast. I don't know where they went. Sorry, everybody else.
Local Walmart shut down for roach infestation. Call
Thankfully,
still a mystery.
it's been about 20 years ago, so good.
Statute of limitations, you're fine.
yeah.
Yes, that's all over with.
With Beware Mouse. I've heard just his history. Just I can't watch his shit because I mean, pedophilia is just not the mark of
I
a good
can't stand
person.
watching him. I can't stand watching him. We have some in our little Discord group. We have some people that do pay close attention to what he's doing, and so usually if he does anything interesting, they'll tell me, and I'll be able to see it that way. But yeah, for the most part, I don't watch him either. He creeps me out. His crime, and I don't know if you know this or not, but his crime was against a girl that was 16 years old, I believe. Yeah, I believe he met her when she was 15, but he continued to see her until she was over 16. But his crime was with a girl that was 16 years old who was a friend of his children's. So, yeah, he's a creeper,
Yeah.
super creeper.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how those people make it to prison. I really don't.
He took a plea deal. I don't believe he ever did any time in jail, and that's how some of them, manage. They just don't ever do any time in jail.
We're at a family member of mine. The cops would have been about my third or fourth call, maybe. Yeah, I just don't understand. That's something that I'm not going to tolerate.
It's because predators like this choose their victims carefully. They choose victims that maybe don't have that much support at home, or maybe their parents aren't smart enough to do certain things,
Yeah. And a lot of them come across a really nice guy until they're not, from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's, a lot of times how they get away with it for as long as they do. Of course, Mouse didn't get away with it for long. He was in his 30s, I believe, when he was arrested. So.
Yeah, in his 30s with a 15 or 16-year-old. Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Somebody that's 20 or below with a 15-year-old, I have a little bit more sympathy towards, but no, not at that age.
Absolutely not.
I mean,
yeah.
Somebody 20 or younger getting into that situation, yeah, they fucked up, but it's not near the same fuck up as a 30-something doing the same.
Yeah.
Well, there used to be a
Oh,
time when it maybe wasn't so clear. The law was not so clear on the age, But now people know, the law's very clear. So when you pass your 18th birthday, that you're in a different category than you were before. To me, anyway.
hmm
Maybe in the days past, 80s or something, maybe then you didn't know. But certainly if you're 35, you know that a 15-year-old is off limits, but you never know.
Well, you shouldn't need
Oh,
the law
these are
to tell
memes.
you that.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't need the law to tell you that, but you'd be surprised. Some people do.
yeah,
I'm generally against the death penalty, but I reserve my right to change my mind on anybody who does that.
yeah.
This video,
Yeah. I figured I would go ahead and throw a couple of the Lou videos in there since y'all have such a special relationship.
oh, my dogs are
Um,
barking outside. This video is a bunch of memes, I guess, that people in Discord made and I made, and it's something I posted, I guess, in my ongoing Lou battle.
yeah. Here we go.
I don't think
Yeah.
the music is copyrighted, but it might slow the video down. These are all memes that were made by people in the Discord server.
Yeah.
I don't know if people get these jokes, but I call this guy Potato Lou. Potato because the name Potato comes from the fact that a guy on YouTube named Vital Organ put up a picture one day of Lou's face next to this potato. And it was a potato with eyes and a straight mouth, and it looked exactly like him to me. So ever since then, I've called him, Potato Lou. And
I think you showed
well,
that
anyway,
potato
that's
in
just
here.
I think so. I think so.
Dare I ask, who is he?
He's this guy that makes videos on. There it is. That's the one.
Yeah.
He makes videos on YouTube about me and other people, just really vulgar, derogatory, nasty videos about people, just saying all
It,
kinds of crazy stuff.
he is the same as Salty Rant, right? Am
Yes,
I
he's
mistaken?
the old Salty Rant. He's the old Salty Rant now moved over to the Lou Stefano channel as he fights some strikes or something he has on his Salty Rant channel.
Can't imagine why he would have strikes.
It's hard to
He's got such a winning personality.
it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that, I know. But he's made some really vulgar videos about me, and I don't know what he kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, because he started maybe, after me, it was Lady Di, and after Lady Di, it was another person and another person and another person. And he just makes these horrible videos about people because they have a difference of opinion than him. They might not like him, or they might not think what he did was funny or whatever. So he makes these
And
horrible videos about them, and that just rubs me the wrong way. And he's done it to me many, many, many times over the course of the last 2 years or so. So I can't stand him.
his blatant racism doesn't win him any points either.
Yes, he's racist, he's sexist, he's just a really foul person who just cannot stand me. And so
When
I
you
don't know
say
that it'll ever
Lady,
end between the two of us.
when you say Lady Di, I'm assuming that's not the sort
No,
of
that
ex-princess Lady Di.
no.
No,
Right, okay,
Um,
there's a
no, it's a lady named Diana that's on YouTube.
right,
She calls her
right.
channel Lady Di, I think. Lady Di and a number. I can't remember the number.
I assumed it had to be something like that, but so being English, the two words lady and die together have a certain connotation.
which
Yes, I can
it
imagine. I
quite,
didn't think about that, huh? But yeah,
it
she's
quite
not Lady
possibly
Di.
could have played into her choice of that for her video or her channel name. Who knows?
Yeah, well, she's an elderly lady, and She's kind of a boisterous old lady, but maybe call her a little cantankerous. But Lou is hates her guts and says nasty things about her, and anybody else that he can think of to say nasty things about. I guess as long as they don't like him, he'll make videos that are just horrible. And I don't know. I sometimes play into that and make videos about him, which I probably shouldn't, but they're funny.
Yeah, well, some of what I've heard coming out about you from him, I I don't I see you as being justified in your videos
Well,
of
yeah,
him.
he calls me a murderer. That's the thing that I really
Hmm.
despise about him is that he tries to use my dead daughter and granddaughter to hurt me over and over
Yes.
and over and over again. You know,
When I
so
first
that's
found out about that, it just cemented that he was beyond repair, vile individual.
yeah. It'd be one thing, if he had his opinion and he told people what his opinion was, maybe 2 or 3 times, but he just continues to say it over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know, because he wants to upset me, I guess. And I think that's pretty despicable that someone would use that just to hurt
And
someone,
in, s-
you know.
in some people's minds, if they repeat something long enough, then it becomes reality, I guess.
Yeah, probably so. And he knows it upsets me.
Yeah.
Hell, it upsets me. I don't even know you.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a good person. And that's why I make a lot of videos about him. So if they're, I don't know how many of your viewers actually watch my videos, but I do have quite a few videos about Lou on my channel because he has been somewhat of a thorn in my side. So if you see him, you kind of know why. He's a bald-headed potato guy who's a security guard in Riverside, California, and he just doesn't do anything but sit around and hate people all
Hmm.
day and night.
Yeah. Well, I've my knowledge of you is based mostly on seeing you in chats that I've been in or watched, and then um, your video memorial for Sarah or the stream for Sarah. Um, I've watched a few of of these videos before, but um, until when I invited you up to be a guest panelist, I hadn't really looked through your videos to see all what you do.
Yeah, I try to be relevant. I don't know. Someone's asking when Earl's child molestation case that is coming up in, if I'm not mistaken, the trial is in December. That could change. I believe there's a pre-trial in November and trial is set for December. I don't remember the date, maybe the 9th, I believe, something like that.
If it doesn't get pushed back further.
This is a poem I wrote. It was a week where everybody was writing poems about each other. And so I decided to write this poem. I don't know how good it is,
Oh,
but I wrote it.
that got me to chuckle.
And Tammy is Lou's buddy, his good
Hmm.
friend. IMA says the trial date is set for December the 2nd. So that's probably, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, who's one of the trials is going to happen on. Maybe it's Glenn Serios that got pushed back to December 7th.
Earl is still facing, I think, some charges for maybe that walking in the roadway and maybe some disorderly conduct from that meeting that he got arrested at. I'm not sure if they didn't drop one of those charges, but he's still facing one of them, at least, I know for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah. Hopefully he has a nice, long, extended stay in the Gray Bar Hotel.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it if he doesn't go to jail. Be pretty creepy. Think that he's out there running around.
The only thing that's going to save him is going to be a loophole of some sort.
Yeah, that's my guess too. I believe their case is very strong. So we'll see. I think probably his best bet would just be to take a deal. I think that's the only way he's going to avoid doing time in jail, honestly. But that's me, as Luis Stefano would say, in my opinion.
With the charges he's under, I don't see him being offered any deal that will any deal will just be reduced jail time, in my opinion.
You're probably right, but you never know. You never know as the trial gets closer and closer what the DA is willing to settle for. You just never know.
Yeah.
And I think the deal is probably the only thing that's going to either keep him out of jail or, keep him from dying there, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hank, I don't know if I'm bowing out too soon or not, but I do have to jump off. I have some things going on here with my dogs. I got to take them out and feed them and everything, and I've got some other errands that I have to go run. Do you have any more videos or anything that you want me to watch before I go? I probably have another 5 minutes or so I can hang in.
Those are the last of the videos I had pulled up for you. Thanks for coming up. For those in chat, her link is in the description for this video, and my mods will probably post it up, or if they haven't been posting already.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody in the chat has any more questions for me or anything, but yeah, ask them now because I'm fixing to jump off.
I am subscribing right now, Theresa.
I sure do appreciate that. Thank you all for subscribing, and thanks so much, Hank, for having me. I really enjoyed talking with you guys.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of chance to have a panel where everybody's kind of quietly discussing subjects. It's usually people yelling over each other or calling each other names and stuff. So this has been a wonderful panel.
I don't mind dissenting opinions in the chat. I just want civil chat where we can discuss the issues. We don't have to agree on issues, but we can discuss it civilly, and that's how you learn.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most
if
definitely.
It's all the same to you. I'm going to call you a name. Nice to meet you, Theresa.
It's nice to meet you, Simon. And I like your avatar. Looks like some work went into that.
No, not really. Somebody else to do all the work. I just made use of it in a 3D render.
Yeah, it's really nifty. That's kind of neat. I have a hat that's one of those snow caps. Not a snow cap, but a winter hat. But it's got that face on it. It's got a face on it, but it's like that. Anyway, all right, you guys. It's so wonderful talking to you all, and I hopefully we'll get together with y'all soon. You do this every Sunday?
Lovely to meet you, Theresa.
Every Sunday and Wednesday at noon. Every Sunday and Wednesday at noon Central. And you're always welcome.
Okay. Awesome sauce. All right. Well, I'll see you Sunday and Wednesday. Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Thanks again. It is an open panel, open chat. The link's pinned at the top if anybody else wants to come up and join in.
Was it just me, or did Theresa's poems, the verses, form a limerick format or rhyme method?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. Okay. Good. I'm not going that mad yet then.
Well, what else do we have today?
Oh, if there's anything else people want to discuss, if not, we can go ahead and call it a show.
I think we're at a pretty good stopping point here. I'm feeling a little bit better. So,
Yeah. Well, you got any parting words, Mall Cop?
oh, thanks again, Hank. Always a pleasure. Kind of starting to get used to your little Sunday chat thing. It's a good time when I don't have anything else going on. Got kicking here today. Got to talk to some new folks. Met Theresa. I was not familiar with her stuff at all. Now I am. So I really appreciate it. I'm feeling a little bit. I just had the second vaccine yesterday, so I've been feeling like total ass, and I'm starting to feel a little better now. So
Well, that's good.
good. I slept
Yeah,
most of
and-
yesterday.
And if
Oh,
anybody's got anybody else they'd like to see as a guest panelist and feature videos so we can experience other people's channels and what they're about, you can DM me, email me, or leave a message in the discussion tabs on my page.
Roger that.
So it's not just for you, but for everybody. There's a lot of other people I'd like to have come up, and there's some folks that's not even in the cop watching auditing realm that I'd love. There's creators out there that if I could convince them to come on, I'd love to introduce their work to y'all.
Yeah, awesome.
If you know somebody that's not in this genre of the cop watching auditing genre, I could consider them also.
Very cool.
So, Simon, you got any parting words?
Oh no! Apart from thank you once again for allowing me to come up and make an idiot of myself.
You're welcome. You're always welcome up here, man.
Yeah, and
I was
just
kind of surprised
take care
Lady
and
Di
be-
didn't make it up.
I
Or
was
Lady
about
D
to say
didn't
she
make
had
it
an
up.
accident in a Paris tunnel, but it's a different Lady Di.
Yeah, I mean Lady Dragon. Normally she comes up and we get to listen to her cat purr.
I think she's too busy eating popcorn.
Probably. Or dreaming of frying frauditors.
No, that's a dream worth having, isn't that?
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody who showed up on the panel, thanks. And those of you in chat, thanks for showing. Hopefully you enjoyed. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the show. And special thanks to my moderators that helped me make this happen. Right. Alrighty.
Oh,
I guess your pup wanted to say goodnight.
Yeah, Carl
Just
wanted to say goodbye there. Yeah, there it was.
Yeah.
Carl, kill button.
Boy. Good boy.
Just as a passing point, since we've sort of touched upon frauditors a little bit, there's another channel, a guy called Dear Frog Prince. He did a video a few days back about Poster 7 And then about just a day or so ago, he did an update to that, correcting himself, and he actually delved into some of the background regulations that actually inform what Poster 7 actually says and means and stuff. And it goes from being you could read that a bit this way or that way. And if you actually look at the regulations, it states that no photography of staff or customers or goods, i.e. envelopes, is allowed at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it really drives it into pure black and white about what is and isn't allowed. But so
And you
it's
said the Frog
very interesting
Prince,
listening.
right?
Dear Frog Prince, yeah.
I'll
Dear
check that
Frog
out.
Prince. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 words.
All right. Well, thanks again for everybody showing up. I hope everybody enjoyed, and we have another show coming out on Wednesday. All right.
Good deal, Hank.
Everybody have a wonderful day. It's a wonderful day to have one. Goodbye.